Right now, somewhere in your brain, a song is queued up and waiting. You didn't put it there, you didn't ask for it, and the moment you notice it, it gets louder. This is not a glitch. This is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. By the end of this, you'll know precisely why it happens, what it's actually solving, and the one thing you should never do if you want it to stop. Scientists call this involuntary musical imagery, INMI for short. Earworm is just the word journalists use. The lab term matters because it points to something specific. The music is involuntary, and it is imagery, meaning your brain is generating it, not receiving it. When you have an earworm, your auditory cortex is active. The same region that fires when you actually hear music fires when you only imagine it. There is no meaningful difference in the signal. Your brain is not replaying a memory. It is performing, producing sound from the inside out. And what it's performing is almost never the whole song. Typically, it's a fragment of 15 to 30 seconds, usually the chorus, the hook, the most repetitive part, the piece of the song your brain can loop without hitting an edge. James Kellaris, a researcher at the University of Cincinnati, described what keeps that loop going as a cognitive itch. Just as certain chemicals cause your skin to itch, certain pieces of music trigger an abnormal reaction in the brain. The only way to scratch the itch is to mentally rehearse the tune. But rehearsing it doesn't relieve it, it extends it. So the loop tightens. And here's the timeline that results.
The typical earworm episode lasts somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes. For about 1 in 12 people, it runs longer than 3 hours. And for a small number of people, it doesn't stop for days. 98% of the population has experienced this. If you think you haven't, you've just forgotten.
Here's the part that changes how you think about it. Your brain is not a passive receiver. It is, at its core, a prediction machine. It constantly generates models of what comes next, in language, in movement, in sound. Music is a pattern, and your brain's job is to complete patterns. Before writing, before recording, before any technology existed to store information, music was how cultures transmitted knowledge. Rituals, histories, warnings. If you forgot the melody, the information was gone. Remembering a tune wasn't aesthetic preference, it was cognitive infrastructure. That drive to hold and repeat musical patterns is still running, all the time, in the background.
What switches it on? Consistently, across studies, the single biggest trigger is a state researchers call low cognitive load. You're walking, you're in the shower, you're doing something automatic, something that doesn't fully occupy your mind. Your brain has spare capacity, and it fills it. The second major trigger? Recent or repeated exposure to a song. Not surprising. But the third one is stranger. Emotional state and memory cues. A word, a smell, a license plate with letters that vaguely rhyme with a song title. The brain finds a hook and runs with it. These aren't conscious associations. You never notice the trigger. You just notice the song. The context that set it off is already gone. The music remains. Now for the details that researchers probably didn't expect to find. Jakubowski and colleagues in 2016 analyzed the melodies of earworm songs reported by thousands of people and found a formula. The stickiest songs tend to have a fast tempo, a melodic shape that follows a familiar pattern, and then one interval or repetition that breaks the expectation just enough to snag attention. Bad Romance, Don't Stop Believin', Can't Get You Out of My Head, which is almost too on the nose. Most earworms, by the way, are not songs you hate. They're songs you like or recently heard. Your brain doesn't loop irritants. It loops things it has encoded as important. Who gets the most? Musicians. People who consider music a central part of their life. People with higher OCD traits. Not because of the music itself, but because of how they respond to intrusive thoughts, trying to suppress them, which makes them louder. That last point matters practically. Trying not to think about the song is the worst thing you can do. It's what psychologists call ironic process theory. The act of suppression increases the prominence of exactly what you're suppressing. So what actually works? Ira Hyman at Western Washington University found that moderate cognitive tasks, anagrams, reading a novel, outcompete earworms for the phonological loop, the working memory system that both language and music use. The task has to be the right difficulty. Too easy, walking, folding laundry, and your mind wanders back. Too hard, a complex math problem, and your cognitive resources overload, and the earworm creeps back in through the gaps. The other option? Listen to the song, all the way through. The brain needs closure, an ending, to release the loop. Here's the thing that flips all of this.
We've been treating earworms as a bug, something that happens to you, an inconvenience at best. But consider who gets the most. People who are musically trained, people for whom music matters, people with more active inner lives. Not passive listeners, engaged ones.
The earworm is not a sign your brain is being hijacked by cheap pop. It's a sign your brain is doing what brains that care about music do: encoding, rehearsing, holding patterns with precision. Despacito stuck in your head at 3 a.m. is not evidence of a weak mind. It's evidence of a well-functioning auditory system that takes music seriously. The annoyance and the ability come from the same source. So, your brain hears music without a source, loops 15 seconds of it for half an hour, and responds worse when you try to stop it. That's not a malfunction. That's a prediction engine, a pattern completion system, and a very old memory mechanism, all running at once. The song in your head right now, whatever it is, your brain chose it. That's worth knowing. And now, the only question that matters. What song is stuck in your head right now? And did learning all of this make it worse?